Let's take a look at the unknowns. What's up, Vikings Nation, and welcome to the Minnesota Vikings Syndicate. I'm your host, Trey Wicks. Now, there's a lot going on this offseason. We've talked about a couple different things, the running back situation, the quarterback situation, and stuff like that. But look, I think we can all kind of agree that there's still a lot of unknowns that we have got to dive through. So we're going to do that today. There are 4 unknowns that we're going to talk about, and we're going to start it right off the bat with a couple things with our rookies from last season. But it's another important offseason, the second of Kevin O'Connell's reign. And make no mistake, the Vikings could look far different by the time OTAs begin later this spring. So, first and foremost, how good are Cine and Booth Jr.? If you don't know who those guys are, Lewis Cine, safety, okay, and then Andrew Booth Jr., corner. It says, there was a great sense of anticipation when the Vikings secured Lewis Cine and Andrew Booth Jr. from the 2022 NFL Draft. Both defensive backs were dominant figures at the college level, but their first year in Minnesota was littered with injury concerns that made their respective contributions minimal. This puts the Vikings in something of a predicament, okay? Do they reinforce the back end substantially, or bank on Cine and Booth staying healthy and showing their true potential? In truth, it could be a little bit of both. All right, we could see a little bit of these guys starting and then maybe adding some depth to help them out a little bit. But who really knows? We have no idea if these guys are going to be worth it or not because they had injuries early on last season. Booth throughout the entire year was kind of banged up. Cine broke his foot, just a gruesome injury. But look, the next thing we have to worry about, the next unknown, is the Vikings cap situation. Another offseason for the Minnesota Vikings come with further salary cap constraints. According to SpotTrack, the NFC North champions are projected to be $21.19 million over the cap, despite another hefty increase in available funds announced by the NFL. This is far from ideal, with many established stars looking for new deals. The task awaiting general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and other influential figures cannot be understated, so it'll be interesting to see how this critical factor is approached. Of course, money can be moved around in one way or another. Contract restructures and early releases, to name just 2, which is something Minnesota will take a long look at before the free agent frenzy begins. Now, what moves they make regarding the salary cap also depends on whether the Vikings think their current window of opportunity remains open, something that's entirely plausible with Kirk Cousins under contract until 2024 and plenty of young stars approaching their prime. So we have to figure out the cap situation. We have to wonder, are we going to extend Kirk Cousins again? Keep Adam Thielen? What are we going to do with the running back position? There's a lot of things we need to figure out to clear up more cap so we can sign these rookies, maybe get better free agents and stuff like that. It's going to be an interesting little tidbit or interesting thing that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is going to have to deal with, and we're going to kind of sit back, relax, and watch it all unfold, and hopefully it unfolds the right way. Next up, the next unknown, the contract situation of Kirk Cousins. Now, much like the salary cap situation, Kirk Cousins' contract status seems to come up every year. The veteran quarterback is set to count on a whopping $36.25 million against the cap on the final year of his deal, which is a huge sum considering the lack of available cash to spend elsewhere. The Minnesota Vikings might ride out Cousins last year before moving on entirely. His high performance levels in 2022 could mean another extension comes his way, and there is also a potential trade if another team makes a substantial offer. Okay. Now, all options could and should be on the table where Cousins is concerned. In all honesty, the Vikings would find life difficult to acquire something better for an upcoming campaign. It's just a case of whether those in power believe in the signal caller beyond next season. But look, this is always a subject of significant debate among fans. Cousins' numbers have been nothing short of outstanding over the last 3 seasons, but it does seem as if Minnesota will only get so far with the former Michigan State star under center. Now, the Vikings are already paying Cousins $18.75 million in dead cap money in the 2 years after his contract concludes. Now, adding more to that would jeopardize their chances of building a contender. Again, okay, it's a fine line. Whatever way the Vikings go with Cousins, it won't make everyone happy. Plain and simple. There's going to be fans that are going to be pumped about it. There's going to be fans that are going to be upset about it, okay? But we have got to figure out Kirk Cousins' situation, whether or not he's going to be our franchise quarterback for at least the next couple years. And last but not least, this one, pretty simple, okay? The Vikings defense post Donatell. When one examines the primary cause of what went wrong for the Minnesota Vikings in 2022, it all starts with our defense. Okay, the personnel looked impressive on paper, but nothing went right for the defensive coordinator, Ed Donatell, and he was fired just a few short days after the team's playoff exit. In my opinion, he stunk, okay? No blitzes. You have Danielle Hunter dropping in pass coverage. This guy was an absolute buffoon, all right? I'm glad he's out of the building. But not many predicted anything else, to be honest. Donatell's switch to a 3-4 base defense didn't work despite the talent at his disposal because he ruined it. With a complete lack of experience, depth becoming another ongoing frustration that held them back. Okay, what comes next for the Vikings defense is unclear. Many established players are out of a contract or in danger of becoming salary cap casualties, which might not make it the most attractive destination for any new coordinator compared to others. Now, Minnesota is currently in the process of interviewing candidates to replace Donatell as defensive coordinator. If they don't solve this riddle effectively, the same pattern will no doubt emerge next season. All three levels also need a huge makeover to improve matters, something the Vikings would need to do on a cheap given their current financial state. Okay, this once proud unit under Mike Zimmer has been a shell of its former self over the last two campaigns. Minnesota's offense looks in pretty good shape, so bolstering the defense should be the team's top priority above all else this offseason. So there's still a lot of work to be done, okay? There's a lot of unknowns that we're trying to figure out, like the salary cap situation. What are we going to do with Kirk Cousins? How good are our rookies from last year? Not only Lewis Cine and Andrew Booth, but how good is Brian Asamoah and those younger guys that are potentially going to be starters this upcoming season? And then you also look at what is this defense going to look like? Okay, who are we going to hire as defensive coordinator? There's still a lot of unknowns that we got to dive through, and I can't wait to see what the Vikings and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah as well as Kevin O'Connell end up dialing up for us for this upcoming season. It's going to be a long off season, but I'm pumped for it. Let me know in the comments what you think we should do with anything. You let me know. Also, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It would be much appreciated. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and SKOL Vikes.